Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Our largest single-theme land expansion ever.
Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 112 of Matterhorn Mondays, coming to you live from the Outpost. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm your co-host, Alex the Historian.
And today on the Outpost, we have special guest. It's none other. Bob Iger is a returning guest, everybody. I didn't have my chance to set up my webcam back in my room. He's just chilling on my bed at the moment. He'll chime in every once in a while if he has opinions on something. But can we welcome, everybody, Bob Iger to the show once again, returning guest. Returning Matterhorn Mondays legend, Bob Iger, has returned once again. So everybody, big round of applause for Bob. we have a great stream, a great episode planned today for you guys. And before I forget, I just want to mention this. I said it at the end of last week's episode. But Alex and I are having a meetup in December in Disneyland. If you guys would like to have more information on that, the link will be in the description below to Alex's website, alexthehistorian.com. But basically, the meetup is going to be on Friday, December 6th at 12 p.m., I believe. 1 p.m. or 12? Or
1 p.m.
What, 1 p.m.? I can't even remember the time for my own meetup. At 1 p.m., you guys, in the lobby of the Grand Californian Hotel. I'm thinking, just right in the lobby where the big Christmas tree is, and then there's like some couches sprawled out in the lobby. We'll meet there. We'll hang out there for maybe 30 minutes or so, and just chit chat, and then we'll head into the park. Those of you guys who can head into the park, will come. We'll all go together, get on some rides, watch some shows, maybe we'll go see America Sings, everybody's favorite audio animatronic show. I know it's one of my favorites, a must-do whenever I visit Disneyland. But
why do you do that to people? Why do you tantalize them with these attractions that don't exist anymore?
We can get on the People Mover probably as well, you guys, if any of you guys are down for that. But meetup, like I said, December 6th, which is a Friday. And I was told by Chris and Mark that Friday is the last week they have before their exams start the next week for college. So that's kind of a pretty neat coincidence, having that meetup. It's like the perfect timing. So if you guys can come out, Friday, December 6th, 1 p.m., the lobby of the Grand Californian Hotel. And like I said, link will be in the description to Alex's website for more information. There's really not much more information from what I just said, but there probably will be on Alex's website. Link in the description.
That just goes to show you that Matt never actually read the event calendar.
I swear I did read it. I read it once, and then I forgot. All I remember is the date, the time, and the place, and that you have to be 14 or older to attend. 13 or 14? It's 14, right? 14 or older.
14 or older.
Perfect. If you're under 13 or if you're under 14, you must be accompanied by a grown adult. I guess they don't have to be like 50 if you want to come with like your big brother or something who's over the age of 18. That's cool. We invite everybody to come. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait to hang out with you guys. And I guess it's been a while since we've had Alex talk about his YouTube channel, what kind of videos he makes. He's sort of had a resurgence the past few months with his history videos. So why don't you go ahead and, I guess for all the new viewers or for the people who don't know who you are, Mr. Alex, even though you've been co-hosting the show for 112 episodes, why don't you go ahead and sort of describe what you do on YouTube?
So, for those of you who don't know, I am Alex the Historian. Since 2016, I have been providing Disneyland history in the form of my famous Disneyland History Today documentary series. Though, like Matt said, in the last couple months, the channel has been completely revamped. So I've been redoing my whole Disneyland History Today series, and to lots of favorable reviews. And I'd say about every 2 weeks or so, I put out a new history video. that goes in depth into rides and attractions at Disneyland. And I'd say what makes it different than a lot of other YouTube channels is the sheer amount of technical knowledge and little known facts that people actually don't always know about Disneyland, as well as the fact that on my channel, I also do a vlog series where every week I go into Disneyland, usually with a friend, and I will point out the things that are happening around the park, construction updates, new food items, and sometimes just talk about some of Disneyland's history, nooks and crannies, and some famous names on the windows on Main Street, stuff like that. So it's really a fun little channel for everybody, and I hope you all visit.
Yeah, link is in the description below to Alex's channel. I'm sure everybody listening here is already subscribed, but for the one person who is not, link is in the description below to Alex's channel. And someone said in chat, let's see, if you are the real Iger, leak some information about Frozen 2. I muted my mic while Alex was talking and said that to Mr. Bob back there. He said Frozen 2 will be the sequel to Frozen 1. Little known fact, I'm sure you guys didn't know that. So that's proof that Bob is actually back there, listening on, watching along, ready to comment at a moment's notice. But anyways, yeah, we got a great stream planned today, like I said. And if you guys would like to be wished a happy birthday live on the stream, live on the podcast, I always say stream, you can do so by submitting your name, your date, at the Google Docs form in the description below. And let's see, we do have a few birthdays this week, I believe. This week, actually, the only birthday we have is on Saturday the 9th, and that's Jeremy's birthday. I'm not sure if that's our Jeremy or a different Jeremy. I think it's our. I think I remember him mentioning that he was born in November. So I think, gosh, I can't remember now. Anyway, if that is our Jeremy, happy early birthday to him on Saturday the 9th. I think Alex knows if it's his. Do you remember Jeremy ever talking? I'm pretty sure it's our Jeremy whose birthday it is.
I don't even know when my birthday is.
Oh, bruh, sound effect. I'm too lazy to look for it, but I'll just make it with my mouth. Bruh.
You have a console right there. Just pick the button.
Oh, wait, here we go. It's sounds, bruh. Yeah, now it's a stream. All right. Anyways, yeah, like I said, you guys can submit your birthday using the link in the description below. And if you guys would also like to voice your opinion on any of the topics we're talking about at hand, leave a voicemail, give the number 575-386-5814 a call. We'll be listening to them throughout the episode. And before we get into news from the peak, we have one voicemail from Red. Actually, we have a voicemail from Redmond. We'll save that for after news from the peak, because it's a minute and 12 seconds, and it's a pretty interesting voicemail, so we'll save that for after news from the peak. And I don't have my other webcam set up just because I was trying to find a new position for it, but you guys know what time it is. It's time for Matt Snaps, and I'd like to tell a funny story while I try to open this. There we go. You guys know I drink Snapple every stream, and normally I finish the Snapple because it's so delicious and tasty and sugary. But last week, I happened to not actually finish the Snapple. I was drinking from it was the Starbucks, I think, little mug type thing. And I left the mug right here on my desk with a Snapple inside. I completely forgot about it. And I come back the other day, and I look in the mug, and I think, oh my gosh, I left my Snapple in there. I wonder if it's still good to drink. And I take a look inside the mug, and this is going to gross some of you guys out. There are like spores of like mold growing on top of the Snapple, and they were floating on the surface of the Snapple inside the cup. And I was thinking to myself all week, man, why does my closet smell so bad? And now I've discovered It's the mold that was growing from the Snapple that I'd left on my desk for a good, a good few days. Alex looks like he's going to throw up. He's going to upchuck live on stream. Anyways, I thought you guys would get a kick out of that story. I threw it away. People asked me to take pictures of it. I probably should have, just to prove that I wasn't lying. But I threw it away right away because it was disgusting. Anyways, now we can get into I hope you guys weren't eating anything while I was telling that story. But we can go ahead and get into this week's news from the Peak.
We now present to you news from the Peak.
For our first bit of news from the Peak, this is very interesting for all you Star Wars fans out there. Game of Thrones writers, I cannot pronounce this man's last name, Benioff and Wes, don't know, I tried, leave their Star Wars trilogy. As you guys may or may not know, those two men were penned to write, and I believe direct as well, a new trilogy of films for Lucasfilm for Star Wars. And according to Deadline, they have left their Star Wars trilogy. And that makes, I believe, the third set of directors to leave a Star Wars film. This is not in a canonical order, but Lord and Miller left Solo, or were reportedly fired from Solo, whichever source you decide to believe. Gareth Edwards supposedly left Rogue One, and that film had to end up getting the whole ending, I believe, reshot, as well as I misspelled this name. Colin Trevorrow, the director of hit film Jurassic World, supposedly getting fired from Episode 9, Star Wars Episode 9. So I don't know what it is with all these Star Wars films who make directors sort of scare them away. I believe Rian Johnson was supposed to have a trilogy of films as well, and I'm not sure if it was confirmed if he had 100% left that as well, or if he just decided to push it back. Not 100% sure. I don't think there was a reason for these two men leaving the Star Wars trilogy as well, at least not from what I could find. But again, guys, is Star Wars dead? Oh my gosh. Directors leaving all over the place. It's not dead. I'm just making a joke. But Alex, we all know you're a big fan of the new Star Wars films. So what are your thoughts on these two men leaving their trilogy?
Did these guys work on the last two films?
No, they were supposed to direct an entire new trilogy of films. I believe in 2022 was when they were supposed to start working on them.
An entire new trilogy?
Yeah, not based around the Skywalker saga, a completely new. I don't think there was ever like any concepts or anything. I'm not sure if this was the one where it was the trilogy supposed to be set in the past with like Knights of the Old Republic. That might have been another director who is directing that, but yeah.
Well, honestly, this doesn't surprise me, only because it's very common for writers or directors to, come in and leave, and new ones to come in and leave, before a movie or something comes out. It's just typical. And usually what it is it's the studio putting together their team, and sometimes the team that the studio ultimately wants in order to bring to the table the product that they want sometimes just doesn't fit with certain team members. And so people have to leave. And so either they get fired or sometimes they just leave on their own accord. So it's all about, who fits the project that the studio ultimately wants to make.
Yeah. Again, all you Star Wars haters out there could take faders. I don't know where that came from. All you Star Wars haters, I think I was trying to say fans and then haters. All you Star Wars haters out there can sort of use this as evidence that Star Wars is dying, which it may or may not be. But moving on to our second topic from News from the Peak. This is a throwback to a past topic we talked about. Star Wars hybrid menu names have debuted at Walt Disney World and at Disneyland. Now, a few weeks ago, we reported that the food names in Galaxy's Edge were changed to non-themed names. I'm sure you all remember that. Not really a fiasco happening in Hollywood Studios' version of Galaxy's Edge. Now it looks like Disney found a nice middle ground for the food names, with names like smoked Caddo pork ribs and Batuan beef pot roast. So they sort of kept the fantasy names, but sort of added on inside the names what it actually is you're eating. Pork ribs, shrimp noodle salad. What is that? Surabat shrimp noodle salad. So you can just like ignore basically the first part of or just whatever made up word is in the menu. You can still make out what it is. I think this is a nice change to just having regular themed names. Or I guess regular non-themed names. Alex, what are your thoughts on these mixed? I don't even know what to call them. Mixed. I guess they call them hybrid menu names. What are your thoughts on these new names to these food items coming to Galaxy's Edge?
It's okay. I mean, it's just funny because I liked the menu names before. I mean, they're not the most amazing menu names, but I liked the idea that it had its own name to it. And if you wanted to know what the item was, oh gosh, I am yawning so much today. Okay. So, and if you wanted to know what the item was, you just read the description, but it's unfortunate that a lot of people, you see, we cast members used to have a saying, the guests leave their brains at the gate. And so it's usually one of those things where it's like people look at these names and they go, I don't know what that is, but they don't bother to look at the description to figure it out. So Disney has to kind of make it friendlier for them by adding back in some regular earthly names like pork ribs or, fried chicken, So it's good that they kept some of the Star Wars names in with it, but I just felt like this never needed to happen if people would just read the descriptions on the menu. Anyway, it's okay.
It's okay. My gosh. Well, yeah, it's nice to see Disney's dedication to theme. I mean, they could have kept it as just the normal non-theme names, but it's, it's, even though it's such a small detail, it's nice of them to include that little sparkle of Star Wars, I guess you could call it Star Wars magic, into the names of the food. But someone asked, Harvey Richards asked, how do you send a voicemail on Android? You should just be able to dial the number and you'll instantly be sent to the voicemail box and you can just leave a voicemail. At least that's how it works for me and I believe everybody else. Not sure. If you're doing something wrong, Harvey, you should just be able to call the number and leave a voicemail. But for our third and final topic, guys, these images are not safe for work for all you Epcot stands out there. Fountain of Nations has been completely demolished, you guys. Again, not safe for work. If your boss is standing behind you and you're watching the podcast, I'd recommend you click off, just listen to the audio, and then maybe go back once you get off work to look at the pictures. As you can see from this image here, it's completely gone, you guys. The Fountain of Nations. It's literally a pile of rubble and wires. Very sad to see the fountain go. I know Alex isn't the biggest fan of Epcot, but Alex, what are your thoughts on this very, very not safe for work image that we have here on screen about the Fountain of Nations being completely demolished?
I was more confused about how you called everyone Epcot stands.
Epcot stands.
So,
gotta appease the crowd.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the Fountain of Nations looked like.
Me neither, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry, people. I'm purely a Disneyland person, so I don't even. My memory of Epcot is like bits and pieces of it. I don't even think I got to explore all the different like little areas of Epcot. I probably went in like a single circular path, but didn't get to veer off into the little other areas. So I don't even have that good of a memory of it. But next time I go, I'll walk through most of it. Yeah.
And then you can take a selfie with the Fountain of Nations. Even though it's gone. Funny. Anyways. Yeah, like I said, guys, not safe for work. If you're fans of the Fountain of Nations, if you're a fan of Epcot, I'd recommend clicking away. I gave the warning of the pictures after I'd switched to them, so I apologize. For those of you guys who are listening on Spotify or on Apple Music or iTunes, they're not safe for work. I was just making a joke of it, because it's just a picture of the entire Fountain of Nations is just demolished. There's like nothing left but rubble. So if you're wondering if there's like some kind of grotesque imagery, it's not. There's not. It's just a normal construction photo. Just making a gag, I guess is what you could say. But anyways, that does it for this week's episode of News from Peak. And before we get into our main topics, we have Alex in the Parks is back, everybody. Alex in the Parks. Alex, why don't you go ahead and give the listeners a little bit of a tease of what we're going to be watching in this clip from you.
All right, listeners, here's your tease. Okay, so the Alex in the Parks episode this week, I basically go into Disneyland and I show you some of the new sorry, brain fart. Okay. I show you some of the Christmas decorations that are going up and replacing the Halloween decorations, as well as the new work going on at the entrance of Tomorrowland is beginning to wrap up, or starting to wrap. I don't know. It's wrapping up, and then I talk a little bit about the work on the Matterhorn because it reopened yesterday.
Oh, that's right. Yesterday being the 2nd of November.
Yes, yesterday being the 2nd of November was yesterday. I should probably add that there's talk going around that the Matterhorn is only open on weekends at this time until the 16th. So we'll see. And then we'll end with the talk on the Tomorrowland entrance, where I'll have more to say after the video.
All right, perfect. Let's get into Alex in the Parks. All right.
It is November 2nd, and here at the entrance of Disneyland, they are currently in the process of removing the Halloween decorations, and later on you'll see as we go into Disneyland that they're installing some of the Christmas decorations. So here on Main Street, the garlands have been strung up along Main Street Station, as well as some of the buildings here. Oh wow. Christmas merchandise. The Matterhorn is up and running again. I see people riding it, but the hole is not patched yet. In fact, it's still wide open. Chris, you tried to ride the Matterhorn. What happened?
So apparently, one side is still down on the Matterhorn because they were too lazy to fix up the hole.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So the scaffolding that we saw earlier this morning, that definitely has made it so the other side of the Matterhorn is still not open. But at least one side is running for those who really want to ride it. But yeah, it's the hole is still there. The one side is still not working, and it's still a major hazard for other people. All right, folks, we're here next to the castle, and it looks like all the snow roofs have been installed, as well as they are in the process of installing the icicles that they have every year. I think these are still the same icicles as well as the same roofs. So, and like I was saying last week, these roofs are the same snow roofs, but they were touched up with paint to make them look like the newer roofs with the new paint scheme and the little golden stars and stuff like that on it. But it also seems like before they were installed on the castle this season, they were also left outside to get a little dirty. All right, for you Disneyland Railroad fans out there, this is a really cool surprise. The Fred Gurley is back. The Fred Gurley has been in refurbishment for, I would say, like 8 months, maybe 9 months. It hasn't been here in a while, and it is back. And that's it over there. So some of the walls here on Main Street have been pushed back finally, reducing the amount of space that they take up. That's because they're almost done. So this is what it looks like on this side. This wall is significantly smaller than it used to be. It used to come all the way out here to the street corner. And as you can see, the curbs are dropped. And over here, they've reopened the walkway to Tomorrowland. So we'll check that out right now. So from what I've seen on video updates, this walkway is certainly a lot bigger than it used to be. And even beyond this wall here, it still goes on maybe another 2 or 3 feet. So this is a really wide new walkway to get to Tomorrowland. They've really expanded it. The concrete on the ground is really rough though. It's interesting. It's not smooth like you'd expect it to be. It's almost like Frontierland-ish. And then the other side, the walls kind of moved further inward. They've kind of created a little maze here. But then they've opened this up on this side. So you can see the line where the walls used to be versus where they used to not be. So I think what it is they've pushed back that wall, so all that is dirty because that hasn't even been pressure washed yet. And then they kind of push back this wall just a tiny bit. But this is all new brickwork and stuff, especially where I'm walking right now. So I am so excited. This is going to look great. Okie dokie. Wait, was that the end of the video?
Yeah.
It was. Okay. Okay, so Matt, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pull up the She's in Los Angeles video, put it on silent so that way I can talk over it. Okay. Okay.
Okie dokie, artichokey.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so this video is from She's in Los Angeles.
Who's
a
in Los
YouTuber
Angeles?
Jane.
Oh.
You don't know her name. So this is from a YouTuber named Jane, and she's got a channel called She's in Los Angeles. And I often watch her videos because she does like construction updates on Disneyland and stuff. Really great stuff. So I highly recommend her channel. But in this video, you can see work going on at the entrance of Tomorrowland. This video was taken on November 1st. And you can see that they've reduced the planters in front of Tomorrowland to these like really small ovals where they're probably going to put like flowers and things, maybe some kind of new signage saying, you know, entrance to Tomorrowland or something. I don't know. But I think one of the really interesting things that you'll see in this video is that there's like this little concrete bunker, right? Which used to house the machinery and stuff that runs the Astro Orbiter, and they temporarily moved the machinery to one of the tunnels that the People Mover used to go through, and the concrete bunker that was hidden by the French fry rocks, I assumed they would just demolish since they already moved the machinery, but they didn't. They left it there, and as a matter of fact, in this video, what you can see is they're already putting together another set of temporary walls around that little concrete bunker. So that way, when they remove the construction walls, you won't be able to see this ugly concrete bunker. You'll just see a little tiny fence around it. And I just thought that was kind of weird. Like, why wouldn't they just either remove the bunker or retheme the exterior of it so it looks like it should belong there? I don't know. I don't know why they did that. But, Yeah, so basically those planters are almost ready to go. I imagine that by this coming weekend, let's see what weekend we're living. The weekend of the 9th, I imagine that these walls will be down by then, and there will be new plants and everything ready to go. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do with that. And there's also plenty more room to see fireworks, by the way. That was part of the reason why they took out these French fry rocks, was to create more walkway space so people could get to and from their destinations during parades and fireworks, and can also see the castle better without these giant trees and structures in the way. In fact, in my vlog, I was talking about how they actually moved a tree that was next to the castle, kind of blocking some of the view. They moved that tree closer to Tomorrowland just to get it out of the way. And I thought what was so amazing about that was that they could have just easily cut the tree down and thrown it away, but they saved it and they moved it, which is just, I think, really cool. But yeah, so this is the construction update of Disneyland. I didn't go into Tomorrowland to look at the new stairwell that's being installed by Space Mountain, because I mean, it's a stairwell. We kind of know what it'll look like, but I'll go back into it maybe later this week and check up on that progress. As for the progress on the Adventureland entrance, I think it's pretty much done. All the same props and everything are in the same place they were last week when I did this. So yeah, so that's your Alex in the Parks this week. Woo!
Cool beans. Thank you, Mr. Alex the Historian. Do you think it would have been cheaper to save that tree and move it, or to throw it away and plant a whole new tree?
It would have... Okay, so they didn't replace the tree with a new tree. They replaced it with roses. I don't know why I said that weird. Roses. They replaced it with roses. So cost-wise, it would have been cheaper to cut down the tree and throw it away. Because moving a tree takes an incredible amount of work and machinery. Like, they would have had to get a small, like, forklift crane to move it, and stuff like that. It's just usually, if they're not replacing it with another tree, then it's just cheaper to just cut it down and throw it away. And frankly, I feel like it's not like they felt like the other side of the street needed a tree. I think they just felt like, you know, they wanted to save it because it I think, okay, I know this is so stupid. I think that Disney has this legacy of trying to save as much things as possible, trying not to throw away as much as possible. And I think that, honestly, whoever was in charge of landscaping was like, you know, this tree is probably going to be destroyed because it's, you know, it's blocking views of the castle at nighttime. And I think he said, hey, I'm in charge of the new Tomorrowland entrance redo. I'm going to move this tree over there. And I think that's what he did. I think or she, who knows if he or she. So yeah, I'd like to think that it could just be a cost-effective thing. Like, they wanted to have a tree nearby Tomorrowland, and they just thought, let's move this. But I feel like planting a new tree would actually be cheaper than moving an old tree. Yeah. Okay.
Very interesting. I think we can maybe dedicate in the future an entire topic to the Tomorrowland refurbs, to trees as well, to the Tomorrowland refurb that's been happening. I'd also like to touch on the Matterhorn update. You guys said that the hole is still there. It hasn't been patched up. Which is why was the Matterhorn closed then for those however many weeks it was? If you don't, for those of you not watching, Alex did a big old shrug.
Okay, so yeah, so when I saw the Matterhorn yesterday, the November 2nd, I walked by it, and what they have done to the big hole on the side is they've attached new rebar and some sheets of mesh, metal mesh. And what's funny is, just a little side note, what's funny is that the rebar is so bright and shiny. I've never seen that. Like, rebar is usually like, well, iron red, iron brown, it's usually the color it is, and but yeah, this is like really shiny. So I'm like, what is it made of? Is it made of aluminum? It must be okay, that doesn't matter. The point is that they've attached brand new rebar structure, and then over that they're in the process of overlaying the steel mesh, so that way they can put the shotcrete over it and then form new mountainside. As for why the mountain was closed the past couple days, I really don't know. I don't think it had to do with the hole, honestly, because I was in the park while the mountain was closed for refurbishment, and all they were doing was just testing bobsleds, which is something they do just to ensure like the efficiency of the system. So I imagine the only reason why it was closed had nothing to do with the hole. It was just a normal closure for testing the system. And the hole itself has not affected any refurbishment schedules for the Matterhorn. So I don't know. And then Chris was there and he rode the Matterhorn. He was hoping to get video of both sides of the Matterhorn that morning, but only one side was operating because of the construction. So I don't know. And then someone else commented in my vlog. They said that a cast member told them that the mountain would only be open on weekends until the 16th, when I assume both sides will reopen. That sounds like a more reasonable amount of time to get that hole patched. So we'll see.
Interesting. Well, we will keep you guys updated on that front. And before we get into our main topics, we do have a voicemail from Redmond. From Redmond, like I teased. Let's go ahead and give this a listen here. Can we get a topic every week dedicated to the Matterhorn hole? We should come up with a name for it. The Matterhorn hole, the Matterhole, the Matterhorn. That sounds kind of weird when I say it like that.
I'm just not going to say anything.
Voicemail time.
Hey, it's Redmond. Calling in to get your opinion on the idea of actors not best known for their voice work doing voice work in Hollywood. I consider Mel Blanc and Billy West to be two of the greatest voice actors of all time, and when I see movies and shows with big names attached to them, and then find out that actors have done little to prepare for these roles, it comes off as lazy and uninspired. Don Cheadle Duck is for the most part playing himself in the DuckTales reboot, and Scarlett Johansson made no effort to do anything with her role as Kaa in the Jungle Book remake. The same can be said for the majority of animated films these days. In contrast, Bradley Cooper as Rocket the Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy was actually a breath of fresh air because it didn't sound anything like him, and yet the Lego Ninjago movie basically recast all of the roles from the TV show with famous actors and still couldn't get anyone to watch it. Perhaps that speaks more to the plot of the movie than the people in it. Perhaps it speaks more to the plot of the movie than the people in it. Anyway, just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Take care.
Okay, well, another great voicemail from Redmond. This is something I've been wanting to touch on for a while. Not necessarily on the channel, but maybe in like the form of a tweet. The fact that you see all these, I guess you could call them smaller budget animated films. You guys know the films I'm talking about. Your Despicable Me's, your Illumination style, your Blue Sky animated movies that get put out. Every single voice actor in those movies is like a big name celebrity. Like, I'm trying to think of like an example of. I just saw a trailer for one the last time I went to the theater, but I can't think of an example off the top of my head. I'm sure you guys know the movies I'm talking about. These, moderately smaller budget films who don't necessarily cast quote-unquote voice actors as roles in the films, but they cast people like Beyonce or like Shakira or, your other big-name celebrities that have no experience whatsoever when it comes to voice acting. And then when you see the movie, it's just the person playing themselves as... It's just their voice. They don't bring any sort of creativity to the role. They don't bring anything new to, I guess to voice acting. Again, I've been wanting to touch on this for a while. So thank you, Mr. Redmond, for bringing this topic to our attention. Maybe we'll dedicate an entire topic to this next time Jeremy's on the show. But Alex, do you have any brief thoughts on Redmond's voicemail before we move on?
I feel like in a way we kind of already covered that, because we were talking about like, okay, maybe not small budget, but Disney animated movies in recent years.
Oh yeah.
Where
all
those movies, they hire these very famous actors, not for their voices, for their fame.
Mm-hmm.
And and how it's like the voice actors don't match the character they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really bothers me. Like the best example is the more recent Disney Jungle Book, with its huge cast of famous voice actors, whom none of them sound like the character they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I like some of Bill Murray's movies, not all of them, but I like some of Bill Murray's movies, and I think he can be funny at times, although I don't think he's naturally funny. But he doesn't play a good Baloo the Bear.
Mm-hmm.
He was perfect as Garfield. Like that just seems like he's like a perfect Garfield, but not Baloo the Bear.
Garfield.
And then
I can see that.
Garfield the cat.
Yeah,
he was Garfield the cat.
Wait, was
okay,
he?
Yes, he was Garfield the cat.
Wait, in the live action Garfield movies?
Yeah.
Well, I never saw those movies, so I wouldn't know. I didn't. That's interesting. Thank you.
Well, I didn't see them either, but I knew. Yeah, but I knew that he was the voice of Garfield, and the reason why is because like he just had the best voice for Garfield. And even though I never saw the movies, I saw the trailers, and he sounded perfect for Garfield. But the point is that Disney lately has not been hiring actors and actresses to do the proper voices. They're just hiring them because they're famous, and that just, in my opinion, is just sad. Just absolutely sad. I mean, yeah, I'm afraid I would go off on a tangent if I just kept going, but yeah.
Yeah, like I said, we'll put a pin in this for a future episode, because this is an interesting topic. Kenton said name sell. That's true. Mishi Cat said Alan Tudyk does great voices. He's an example of, along with, what's his face who plays Rocky Raccoon, Bradley Cooper, who is an actor, but can also do really good voice acting. Redmond said there is a YouTube video about Robin Williams playing the role of Genie that touched on this. I know what video he's talking about. It's a really great YouTube video. I'll try and find it and link it in the description for you guys, just because it is such a great video. But we do have some main topics to talk about today. Let's see. For our first topic, we have some Buzzy updates coming. The train just keeps on rolling, you guys. And then second topic, we have some FuelRod updates as well. And finally, we're going to be debunking some famous Disneyland myths. We saved that one for last. So if you guys would like to type in chat what your favorite Disneyland myths are, we'll add them. We'll add our favorites that you type in to the list of the ones we'll be talking about at the end. But before we get to that, for our first topic, we do have some interesting developments in the Buzzy case. Now, this is interesting. It's right out of left field. The Milwaukee Bucks basketball player, Robin Lopez, unwillingly bought a stolen clothing item that belonged to Buzzy. Lopez bought Buzzy's...
Sorry. Did you say unwillingly?
Or unknowingly. I misspoke.
Oh.
Unknowingly. But he didn't know they were stolen, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I misread there.
I wanted to know the story behind that. I was like, he unwillingly bought these
He
clothes.
was forced at gunpoint to buy Buzzy's clothes. No, I misread that. unknowingly bought a stolen clothing line from Buzzy. Lopez bought Buzzy's clothes from none other than Mr. Backdoor Disney himself, Patrick Spikes, on eBay after the two began talking. It's not known what specific items Lopez bought, whether it be his bomber jacket, headphones, or his hat. And yeah, that's really all we have on this. Another, I guess, interesting note is that Mr. Lopez, what's his name? Robin Lopez is an avid Disneyland fan. Yeah, that's really it for that. And thus continues the epic Buzzy saga that will soon be made into a Disney Plus documentary directed by Zack Snyder, written by J.J. Abrams, everybody. 2021. Can't wait for the Buzzy Chronicles on Disney Plus. Alex, what are your thoughts on Mr. Robin Lopez unknowingly buying Buzzy's stolen clothing items from Backdoor Disney on eBay?
So, yeah, I think that's, I don't know. I feel like
he knew they were from Buzzy, but he's just trying to play it off that he didn't know that they were stolen.
If you're gonna buy something from a Disney park that was in a ride or something, there's a good chance that it was stolen. I mean, there's a chance Disney auctioned it off, but usually that comes with a certificate of authenticity. If you're getting something without a certificate of authenticity, then you most likely bought something that was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not always the case, but I mean, I'd like to think that maybe he just didn't know that this was stolen. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I do have a request, Matt.
Yes.
So could you go back and put the picture of the Bucks guy in full screen with my image superimposed over it? Okay.
Oh, yes. Like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Here. If I can line this up.
What is going on?
I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's working.
Are you trying to make your face into his face?
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, I'm done.
Well, for those of you guys listening on Spotify, now's the time to head over to the YouTube video. Link in the description below. That was quite a sight. Thank you, Mr. Alex. Alex should join the Bucks. Alex, do you think you could compete with all the NBA players and get 20 rebounds a night, score a triple-double every night, carry some games?
I don't even know what all those words mean.
Bruh sound effect. But anyways, I was going to say something. I had something that... Oh, one of my question is, what was the item on eBay listed as? Because, I mean, it had to have... I mean, I'm guessing it wasn't listed as, like... For example, if it was his bomber jacket, I'm sure it wasn't listed as, like, Buzzy bomber jacket, $5,000, and he bought it like that. I'm just curious as to
I think it had to be listed with Buzzy's name because if it's not listed with the name of the animatronic or where it's from, you don't know if you're really buying something that is Disney. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he probably sold this stuff a long time ago before all this became like...
Yeah, I'm assuming this was from a while ago.
Yeah, so I don't think that this Bucks guy knew he was buying something stolen because of the fact that it probably at the time it wasn't all that well known.
Yeah, that's true. He could have a whole entire animatronic, you guys. I think... Oh my god, excuse me. Bruh moment. I think we should launch a full-scale investigation on Mr. Robin Lopez. Search his house, search his attic, search his basement, search his car to see if he has the stolen...
What if they find the whole Buzzy animatronic like in his closet with duct tape around him?
Oh, he's holding him hostage. Guys, hashtag free Buzzy, everybody. Please, can we get some hashtag free Buzzies in the chat? Anyways, again, we'll keep you guys updated if there's any new developments on this case. Nathan7478 says, wasn't he claiming to be a broker for Imagineering? I'm not sure. Links to all of the articles we'll be talking about are in the description below. This comes from the Orlando Sentinel, and I couldn't find any mention of that in the article unless I read over it. That could be completely true, Nathan. That sounds like something Mr. Poop Door Disney would do. Mr. Backdoor Disney would do.
I just imagine, you know, that old like poster of the little girl and the dog's like pulling on her diaper. You know, that old painting, and she's like I just pictured his face on that. You know.
Oh, guys. Photoshop experts, get on that, please. You guys know the picture we're talking about. Yeah, like I said, thus continues the epic Buzzy saga that will be for sure made into a Disney Plus documentary, airing November 21st of 2021 to Disney Plus, you guys. Directed by Zack Snyder, written by J.J. Abrams, everybody's favorite.
Mr. Backhanded Disney.
Mr. Backhanded Disney. Before we move on from this topic, did you guys know that the writer, along with J.J. Abrams, for The Rise of Skywalker, Chris Terrio, also wrote Batman v Superman and the Justice League films? You guys know what that means, right?
Did you say Batman v?
Yeah, that's what the movie's called, Batman v Superman. Not versus Superman.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know why they would title it like that. But you guys know what that means, right? The Rise of Skywalker is going to be terrible. Because you have J.J. Abrams co-writing with Chris Terrio, who wrote two of the worst films of all time. I'm excited for The Rise of Skywalker, you guys. Completely off topic. You guys needed to know that. I just knew you were craving some information other than Buzzy, so I am about to sneeze. Oh my gosh. No, it went away. Whew! That was close. I almost just sneezed everywhere. But for our second topic of Matterhorn Mondays, this week we continue the epic saga of the FuelRod fiasco, and we have two updates for you guys. This comes to us from Blog Mickey, even though Alex sent me a link from Orange... What's the name of that website? Orange
County Register?
Orange County Register.
Did you say Orange Enema?
I said Orange Enema, yeah. It's the name of a band. Or it's Orange Anima.
What is going on in Matt's head? Like, I'm a little worried for him. There's things in his head that are just...
Well, this comes to us from Blog Mickey, and Alex sent me a link from the Orange County Register. He sent it to me because he couldn't read the article, because you have to pay to read the articles, which is the dumbest thing in the world. So we're just gonna forget about that. This comes to us from Blog Mickey. The first update comes on October 29th. A class action lawsuit was filed against FuelRod's parent company, Tricopian Inc. I think that's how it's pronounced. They're being accused of breaching contract, violation of the California Consumer Legal Remedies Act, misleading advertising, and a violation of the California Unfair Competition Law. Whatever those mean. If you guys are like lawyers or into legal stuff, if you'd be so kind as to explain what all these laws and bills mean, that would be amazing. The lawsuit,
I don't think you would understand even if I told you.
Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't. It's worth a shot though, please. The lawsuit claims that the free fuel rod swapping promised by the fuel rod company was the primary benefit of purchasing a fuel rod, and that the machines even stated that as a benefit, as you can see in this image here. Where is it? Oh, well, it's covered over with a sticker in this image, but it's say unlimited free swaps. But here it says that you have to pay starting November 3rd. Yeah, the second update comes on October 31st. Disney had backtracked on the FuelRod $3 swap fee and will continue to offer free swaps. The decision was made not to implement the fee at this time, and guests will continue to swap their fuel rods for free. Now, someone did point out in this article, FuelRod made multiple tweets stating that, quote, the host location sets the pricing. So when I said last week that it wasn't Disney's fault, I unknowingly lied to you guys, so I apologize. It was Disney, in fact, that did put in this $3 charge per swap in effect. But now, you guys, we did it, you guys. We did it. We saved fuel rods. We saved Disneyland. We saved the Walt Disney Company from an utter disaster, I think. So I'd like to give us... Oh, Alex has his fuel... Oh, I should have brought mine out. Mine's tucked away in my other desk.
It's not in one of your holes, is it?
Oh, where's my bruh sound effect? Where's my bruh sound effect? Oh, that's Michael Jackson saying hee hee. Sorry, wrong one. Well, free Buzzy, free fuel rods. Yes, that's what's most important in the world, you guys. So yeah, it's very nice to see that Disney had reversed their ideology, I guess, when it comes to these fuel rod swaps. It does say that a decision was not made to implement the fee at this time. They might be waiting for this lawsuit to clear out, and then they might implement the $3 swaps. Not 100% sure. That could be. If
I read correctly, Matt, the company that owns FuelRod decided not to do any like extra charges beyond the $30 thing. Like they basically decided not to go through with what they were doing.
Yeah, that at the Disney parks, right?
Everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. Oh, okay. Well, I missed that part then.
Yeah, because it wasn't just Disney that was the Disney. It wasn't just the Disney consumers that were upset. It was people at airports and stuff, and people who use fuel rods all over the country. They were all upset because that was like their main thing, and so yeah, they were being slapped with lawsuits everywhere. Why am I telling you this? Anyway, yeah. So what happened was Disney was the first one to say, well, we're not going to charge people just yet until we see what's going on. But then the company that owns fuel rods was the company that was like, okay, we're not going to go through with charging people because of all these lawsuits. So as of right now, it looks like yeah, people saved other people from having to pay a lot of money per fuel rod.
Very cool. Thank you, Alex. Very cool. Again, I don't know. They might backtrack once the lawsuit clears up. That just sort of seems like what words am I trying to say out of my mouth right now? That does seem like the next logical step that FuelRod, the company, could take if this lawsuit clears and if they are found. How do lawsuits work? Do you get like found guilty and not guilty? Is that just for like murder trials?
I mean, if the judge thinks that, that you did violate some kind of contract or something. I'm sorry. Oh gosh. But so so my opinion on this whole thing with these fuel rods is that like what a lot of people are saying, you can get better portable chargers for cheaper than these are like really awful in comparison. But the redeeming quality about them is that you can exchange them for free. You just pay the single $30 fee and you get unlimited changes. That was what FuelRod was good at. So technically, I could keep this for however long the company still offers this service, and I could always get fuel rod changes. So I'm of one of the people that agree, like, it's not fair to start charging, money per fuel rod, because then you could just get better ones. And frankly, these are more convenient. It is a breach of contract. It really is. It's not fair that someone paid $30 for something that they said was unlimited, and then a week later the company's oh, now we're going to charge $3. It's just not fair. That's not. And so one of the reasons for the lawsuits was, as Matt was reading, was breach of contract and also for California's unfair business acts and things like that. Those are there for a good reason for people who do stuff like this. So, yeah.
My fuel rod's dead, guys. It won't charge my phone. It's completely empty.
But that's okay, Matt. You see, because you yourself can actually recharge your own fuel rod.
What? No way.
Yes.
What?
That's one of the. Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna
you
do
see,
that right now,
even
actually.
if you look at the photo on screen right now, at the bottom it says rechargeable. You can charge them.
Yeah, I feel like most people don't figure that out, that you can recharge. I feel like most people just thought it was like
one of those people.
No, I knew that you could recharge it. I recharged it the time I bought it, and then it died. I swear, you guys, I knew that you could recharge it, but yeah, I feel like most people just thought that Alex doesn't believe me. Most people thought it was just a one-use thing, and you had to return it after it died. But you can indeed. There's a USB. What is that? A USB mini, micro USB port, I think, on it that goes to USB B, USB A, USB B. I think
it's the one on top. It says in, and that's for charging, and then the one on the bottom, the USB 3, is for charging your device. So that's the cool thing about it.
Yes, very cool. Yeah, Abby says thank you to whoever submitted those lawsuits. It is kind of a first world problem, almost, that people were gonna have to pay $3 to swap out these very convenient battery packs. So yeah, I don't know. Very excited for the future of FuelRod. Maybe I'll get a FuelRod machine at my own house so I can have unlimited charging everywhere. I wonder how much it costs to get a kiosk set up. I'm not even joking. The gears are turning.
Put one outside your house or something?
No, not outside my house. I'm gonna save.
Probably make money off of it if you did.
You know what, guys? This calls for an intermission. How much does it cost to get a FuelRod kiosk? How do you spell kiosk?
Kiosk.
We don't recommend fuel rods. Disney tourist blog. Interesting. Disney tourist blog. I guess you have to call them, probably. You can buy a starter kit online. $20 MSRP. Prices may vary at some location. I guess you have to contact them. There's no set
How
price.
weird must it look, for the trucks that come by Matt's house dropping off cases of Snapples and fuel rods?
Oh my god. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, there's no information. If anyone can find some information, I really don't want to call them, but if one of you guys would like to call them for me and ask how much it'd be to get one of these set up at a business location, hit me up. But that, I believe, does it for our... Yeah, Alex, do you have any final thoughts on this? A lovely, lovely fuel rod fiasco that we have going on.
Nope, let's move on.
All right, I'm excited to get into our final topic, but before we get into our final topic, we have to take a word from the chat, or I guess the show's sponsors. Sponsor time. Oh my, Alex, I thought your camera was frozen just on the face. All right, sponsor time. If you guys are wondering where you can find even more family-friendly live streams just like this one, head on over to theliveplace.com. The Live Place is your headquarters for great family-friendly live streams. They cover anything from Disney to other vacation spots, various variety shows, and have some amazing streamers like Resort TV 1 and myself. Also, be sure to check out puckermint.com, where you can find amazing pins and stickers. Puckermint is based out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, just a few hours from where I live. And since I'm a big believer in supporting local artists, we decided to partner up. Be sure to use the coupon code down below when you make your next order. Again, that's puckermint.com and puckermint on Instagram. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Yeah, we're gonna be getting into. I need to learn how to speak, you guys. I really do. Is there like a speech school for adults? I think it's like
Yes.
preschool, right?
No, you can actually hire a speech therapist.
I think I just talk too fast. That's probably my problem here. Before we get into our final topic, we do have some voicemail, or a voicemail from Avery. Let's see. Let's go ahead and give this voicemail from Mr. Avery a play here.
I think Mr. Lopez, or I guess Mr. Lopez, or I know it seems like we have pretty much the same last name. I think he
Avery's last name
Buzzy
Lopez?
so he can join the Milwaukee Bucks, or take his clothes so that the real Buzzy, so Buzzy's body can reunite with the clothes and make him join the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, at least it's not the Knicks star getting the Heat. I mean, he used to be a part of the Knicks, but now it's the Bucks. Even though the Knicks suck at the moment. But why have this escalated? This Buzzy drama still continues. It's like it never ends. It's like it never ends.
Well, Avery made a lot of basketball jokes just then. I feel like went over a lot of people's heads. I understand basketball, so
Went over
thank you.
mine. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Mr. What's his full name? Mr. Lopez, Robin Lopez. Avery just said that he feel like he bought Buzzy to play on the Bucks with him. I feel like Buzzy's got a mean 3-point shot, you guys. Buzzy could probably be traded to Golden State to replace Curry with his broken hand. You guys, type in chat if you'd like to see Buzzy playing for the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals this year. Anyways.
I went to a baseball game once with my dad, and everybody was cheering all of a sudden, and I asked my dad, I said, did they score a touchdown? And everyone around me kind of just stared at me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand sports.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big fan of baseball. Baseball's mostly
I don't think anyone really is. I think they just feel entitled to it.
Yeah, I think so as well. Baseball is boring at times. It has like the brief 30 seconds where people get up and cheer when it gets exciting, and then the rest 3 hours is just like boredom. Sorry, baseball fans. I just nay-nayed all over you guys, but let's see. I have a friend in the vending industry who just confirmed this for me. FuelRod kiosks are not for sale. They're priority and are only given out to people that want to do business. Interesting.
Proprietary.
What did I say?
Proprietary. You said
priority.
I think you said priority, yeah.
And they're proprietary and only given out to people who... Well, Jason, I'm interested in giving them my business. I have a I'm interested. If you'd like. Oh, usually in terms of vending, the theme park won't pay for actual money for the machine, so they just take a percentage. Okay, well, Jason, we've got some business dealings to DM me on Twitter, please. For our final topic, we have something a little different planned for you guys today. We asked everybody on Twitter, as well as in our Discords, what your favorite Disneyland myths are, and we're going to try and debunk them. Are they true? Are they false? Are they something in between? We will find out today on this lovely topic on Matterhorn Mondays. They would cost around $4,000 for the hardware if you want to make your own. I guess you could make your own. I guess that'd be interesting. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, we have a list here of some favorite Disneyland. These are only Disneyland myths that we're going to be talking about. We're anti Walt Disney World, you guys, in case you didn't know. We hate Walt Disney World. Just kidding. We just figured we'll do Disneyland only this time. Maybe we'll expand it in a future episode to include Walt Disney World. I don't know. But for our first myth that we have here, let's talk about the Weather Dome. People always like to throw around, oh my gosh, Disneyland has a dome over the park to control the weather, or oh my gosh, Magic Kingdom has a weather control, is inside a weather controlled dome. Alex, Is Disneyland covered in a dome that can control the weather?
You know, people ask this all the time, and I just think it is such a dome question. I mean,
It really is. No offense, but it really is.
I said a dome question.
Oh, laugh track. Wait a minute. There we go.
Oh God. Anyway, so it really is a dumb question, and the reason is because it just think about it logically. Disneyland is half a mile wide. And if you thought there was a dome over the resort, then you're talking about 3/4 of a mile wide. There's no dome on Earth that is 3/4 of a mile in diameter. Yeah, let alone having to be much larger than that, because the resort is a square, or almost a square. And you'd have to have a dome that covers all of that, which means the surrounding city. You know, when you drove in on your bus or your car, you know, did you run over a big hatch that allows a dome to come out of it from underground? Like, no. Did you drive through, you know, a giant gate with a glass dome around it? No. I mean, it's so simple. Like, if that doesn't prove it to you, the fact that you didn't pass through or over any kind of barrier to
it could be invisible,
Disneyland
Alex.
Resort.
It could be a force field. You don't know what Disney's capable of. That's what people are saying in the comments in the chat right as we speak, I'm sure.
Oh my. Yeah, so the dome thing is just awful. And it's funny because this isn't like a recent thing. People have been asking this since at least the 1990s. And I don't even know why people would think that there is a dome on Earth that large.
Oh, well, I guess we should sort of explain sort of the origins of this myth, because from my understanding, this myth dates all the way back to 1960-something when Walt Disney announced the Epcot project. He said that the shops and streets were going to be covered in an environment covered in not necessarily a dome, but it was going to be covered, weather controlled, you know, nice climate everywhere. The shops outside were all going to be technically inside, but it looked like you were outside because, you know, weather stuff. I feel like that's where that myth originated, and it was very ambitious at the time. I don't really think it could have ever been done at the time, or even today. I'm not even sure if something like that
could have.
Could it?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the concept art, it showed that the buildings inside the dome would have been really short, like no larger than 2 stories tall.
That's true.
All you would have needed was a person who designs aircraft hangars to design a circular building. That's,
okay.
You know, yeah, it could have been done. But I think one of the things that really gets people is there's an image of that episode where Walt's introducing the enclosed climate controlled place, and it shows skylights in the roof. These are small skylights. These are at most 10 feet in diameter, but because of the animation showing the camera looking through the skylight down into the shopping district below, it makes it look like the entire shopping district is housed inside a dome. So I think, that could be a reason why people thought, for some reason, down the grapevine, as people talked about it, that maybe Disneyland was surrounded in a dome. But it just irks me. It's just like, because even like when my dad became a cast member in 2004, he was saying that there were guests already asking him, you know, like on a rainy day, if Disney could turn off the rain so they could enjoy their day at Disneyland. And he's like, what do you think this is? Like, where do you think the rain comes from? Like, you see the clouds in the sky, right?
Yeah.
You know? It's just like, you know, but yeah, it's just so, you found it.
Yeah, this is that clip.
That's the clip.
Alex was talking.
Oh my God, Matt,
I choked on a cashew. I'm so sorry. But this is a clip Alex was talking about. Or the clip we were talking about.
Scared me so much.
I almost just died just then, you guys. But Yeah.
That was the clip. Oh, and you can even see that's the inside of the building. The buildings inside are no larger than 2 stories tall. So it would have just been a large aircraft hangar, but just designed in a different shape than a square.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been possible. It would have been extremely expensive, but it would have been possible. But yeah, so Disneyland being surrounded in a dome, no. Not even now. That's just not even. No.
It could be though, Alex. We don't know for sure. It could be invisible though. You know what else is possible? The Earth could be flat. You guys, did you ever think about that? I bet you guys didn't think about that. That's what the people in the comments are saying if they believe this silly myth, everybody. But anyways, for our second myth that we have today, the gold spike, or I guess gold/brass spike that marks the center of Disneyland Park. And I have an image here provided from Mr. Alex, the historian here. Very little wonderful infographic. I'm not sure if he made it himself. If he did you make this yourself?
I made part of it. I made the little target, the little square targets.
Okay.
So this is to
very well done,
to
Alex.
Prove.
Not sarcasm. I'm serious. I enjoy this. This is a little graphic you made. I sound like I'm being sarcastic. I swear I'm not.
Let me speak. Okay. So this is also not true. However, I will admit that it is very believable, because I would say about 3 years ago, I believed it. And the reason why is because not all the time do people say that the spike represents the geographical center of Disneyland. Often people repeat it as the center of Disneyland. So technically, the spike is in the center of Disneyland, but the geographical center, no. So you can see from this photograph that I kind of altered by adding the target. In 1955, the geographical center of Disneyland was actually on the left side of the hub, right in the center of the street. So it was not exactly in the center of Disneyland, but on a horizontal axis, or x-axis, I guess I should say. I hope I got that right. The center of the hub. Is it X or is it Y?
I think X is the bottom, Y is vertical. I don't know. I almost failed math.
Let's
so I'm
not
sure.
get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So in 1955, right where the target meets in the center, you can see where the center of Disneyland would have been, the geographical center. Now, next to it, it says 1966. That I kind of plugged over it because let's not get into that part either. But what fits inside that giant square is what Disneyland would have been shaped like in 1966. Excuse me. Without without Toontown, without Critter Country, that geographical center would have moved slightly north, and it would have moved to, like, I think the bridge that crosses into what was the Carnatia Plaza Gardens. Now today, that is the bridge into the Princess Fantasy Fair Village. So by 1966, with the addition of Small World and the expansion of the park from that point on, that's where the new center would be. And then Matt, if you would switch to the more recent picture that I gave you.
Oh God, there's another one? Oh, I missed
Yeah, there was
one.
a second picture.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I thought it was just one. No. I was wondering where the other part was. Okay, here we go.
Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where the geographical center of Disneyland is today, with the addition of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now you'll note that that this is also includes the farthest north boundary where Toontown is, and then takes into account how far west Galaxy's Edge brings Disneyland. So the new geographical center of Disneyland is right over the Princess Meet and Greet in the Princess Fantasy Fair Village. So there you go, folks. Never has the golden spike underneath the castle represented the geographical center of Disneyland. Instead, what is it there for? It is a center marker. It tells the engineers when they were building Disneyland how to line up the castle with Main Street. So it lines up straight down Main Street. And it's just for engineering purposes. Why it's been here all this time, I don't know. But for some reason, Disney likes to keep these. And I don't imagine that the original one would have been made of gold. I think the original one would have been a wooden stake in the ground.
Yeah.
So for some reason, wherever these center line markers are, Disney has replaced them with gold spikes. Even in Disney California Adventure Park, right as you're entering Cars Land, you'll see one of these, but this time it's marked with Disneyland Resort. And that's in Disney California Adventure. There's maybe about 12 of these throughout the resort. I don't know where they all are, but this is the most famous one. So yeah, it is not the geographical center of Disneyland, but technically, if you want to put it a certain way, it does mark a perfect straight line through Disneyland. So yeah. I think you should be really careful what you Google when it comes to...
Anyways, moving on. I was trying to find a picture of the one you were talking about in Cars Land, but for some reason, nothing related to Cars Land would come up when I Googled Cars Land gold spike or survey.
Yeah, I don't think many people even notice it, but it's there on the ground. If you stand at the main entrance to Cars Land and look at the ground, you'll see a gold thing sunk into the ground, and it says Disneyland Resort, and it says something like center marker or I don't know, something related to what it's for. And that tells you what it is if you read it. So it's right there. But there's more. There's more throughout the park, and I don't know where they all are. And there's more throughout Disneyland, and I don't know where they all are. Because I almost never notice them. I don't think anybody does, really.
Scavenger hunt, you guys. If you find all the golden markers in Disneyland and California Adventure, I'll send you a Snapple pin, you guys. I'm not joking. That'd be a real fun scavenger hunt for you guys. Next time
survey marker. Nathan said it. Nathan 747
survey marker,
said
yeah.
Survey marker. That's exactly what it says. So the one in Cars Land, or at the entrance to Cars Land, says Disneyland Resort survey marker. That's what it says. Yeah, but the one underneath the castle doesn't say that for some reason. But again, if anybody knows why Disney decided to keep the survey markers and why they decided to make them gold, I mean, gold, it lasts. So that I might know. Gold doesn't rust, doesn't tarnish. It will better be suited for the elements than any other metal. But why? Why did Disney keep these survey markers when they have blueprints and modern technology?
Wait,
so if someone can answer that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, they can see it. I see it.
Oh, it looked black. Okay. Anyways, well, that's pretty cool. That'd be a cool souvenir to have if you could jackhammer it out of the ground without anybody noticing.
Matt, with people ripping Buzzy animatronics out of rides, I really don't think you should be encouraging people to do that.
I'm sorry, everybody. Please don't do that. Well,
okay,
anyways,
so
there's that. Moving on. We have a lot more myths to get to. Basketball court inside the Matterhorn. Now, this is an interesting one because it's kind of true, it's kind of false. There is a basketball hoop inside the Matterhorn, not necessarily a full-fledged, regulation-sized basketball court up top. And I guess another part of this rumor that normally floats around is that I think part of it was that only sports stadiums could only be built to the height of the Matterhorn, so they had to include a basketball court inside to be allowed to build the Matterhorn. I think that's part of the story that goes along with this. I'm not sure if that part is completely true or not. I'm sure Alex knows, though.
Oh, about the regulations and stuff behind why it was. Sorry. Okay, I was just making sure because I wasn't like listening. But
the co-host of the show.
Okay, so that is absurd. The whole thing, like, oh, they couldn't build the Matterhorn because it had to be a sports entertainment complex. Like, that is just so dumb.
Okay.
Because I don't need to show you guys city ordinances and things like that. It just takes common sense. Cities don't implement ordinances restricting the height of buildings unless it is for like weather phenomenon. But that's as far as I have ever heard, they've never restricted anywhere. The only thing when it comes to the height of buildings is determining how high you can build a building before putting a aircraft blinking red light marker on a building. That's the only thing when it comes to that. Cities don't usually restrict the height of buildings or the purpose of a building, unless the purpose of a building is just, I don't know, for something a city really doesn't want, like a nuclear waste site, you know? So that in itself is just common sense. But the other common sense thing about it is that, okay, so let's just say, play devil's advocate and say that the basketball court
play
was installed
Chapek's advocate. Epic gamer moment.
All right. So let's play Chapek's advocate and say that. And
Bob
say
Iger,
that
what are your thoughts on that joke? He said he loved it.
Wow, he said that right as you were saying it too.
I know.
Give any chance to talk. Okay, so let's just say that they put the basketball court up there because they had to, right? Well, let's just say they had to. If they had to, wouldn't they need a means for people to efficiently get up there, and for firefighters to get up there to, stop major court, incidents like overcrowding. Let's say there's a fire breaks out and there's a bunch of people trapped in there. None of that stuff has been installed. There is a tiny little stairway that goes up to that little court, so to speak. And that is not nearly enough for a sports entertainment complex, let alone even like, a room capable of holding more than like 60 people. So it doesn't make any sense. The other thing too is like Matt was saying, it's not a basketball court. It's not under regulations. It's not anything like that. It is a hoop that a cast member brought in. They took a piece of plywood and they painted it white. They had extra stencils. The maintenance department had extra stencils for painting the little bobsled logos on the front of the bobsleds. They took the stencils, painted that onto the plywood, and then they hammered that into a wooden staircase that led further up towards where Tinkerbell launches off the Matterhorn. And then, just to assist with, helping them play their game or whatever, they just crudely painted lines on the floor to represent the half oval. So it's not a court by any means. There's not even any seats up there. So why would a city approve a project of a mountain like this for the sake of it being a sports entertainment complex if it can't even accommodate the sport or the people who watch the sport? It just doesn't make any sense. So it's not even it's not a basketball court. It's a break room, and it wasn't even installed not even the same year the Matterhorn opened. It was put in the 1970s, if I have that correct. So, I don't like that little myth, that little legend, because it's not entirely true. But yes, there is a hoop up there, and currently it's not even the plywood hoop. They replaced it with one that they bought at like Walmart. It's like a cheap plastic,
nice.
like acrylic hoop,
Mm-hmm.
There's a newer picture of it if you felt up to looking for it, Matt, on Google. You just type Matterhorn basketball court, and you'll see the newer hoop that they installed with the kind that you can buy for like your garage,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just silly.
Oh wow, this one has the Matterhorn logo. Oh, it's very pixelated. View image. Shout out to Daveland. Daveland's a real great website. You can see the little Matterhorn logo there. That's pretty cool. That's the only one I could find at the moment. Nathan said, I'm so looking forward to the Imagineering doc on Disney Plus. It looks like Bob Gurr gives a tour inside the Matterhorn. Maybe they'll show it. That is really the only series I'm excited for on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I signed up for Disney Plus, so I'm really excited to see that too. I'll be one of the first people able to stream.
Oh my gosh, only a week until, almost a little bit over a week till Disney Plus comes out, you guys. Again, the only thing I'm excited about is that Imagineering doc that they're putting on there. We'll see if it's any good or not. But I was going to say, I think we all know the source of the piece of concrete that fell off the Matterhorn, you guys. I think Shaq was up in the basketball room dunking, and he dunked so hard he cracked the Matterhorn. You guys, it's been under our nose the entire time. It's Shaquille O'Neal's fault that the Matterhorn is under refurbishment. But we'll let him off with a pass this time. Bob, what are your thoughts on Shaquille O'Neal breaking the Matterhorn? He said he was going to give him a pass as well. Thank you,
guys.
Bob.
Everybody watching, I've tried to get Matt some help, for his delusions and his hallucinations. But, you can't help someone that doesn't know they're sick.
I'm semi-automatic.
What?
You guys know that meme. You guys have seen that meme before. Anyways. Yeah, so that's that one. I haven't pre-ordered Disney Plus. I'm waiting for the bundle to come out with ESPN Plus because I'm excited to watch Peyton's Places. If you guys care about football, then you know what I'm talking about, but...
Doesn't Disney Plus come with ESPN?
No. There's a separate bundle that includes Hulu and includes ESPN Plus and then Disney Plus, I believe, for a little bit more than however much they're charging currently. I looked on the website. There was no way to pre-order that specific package. You had to wait till November 12th till it comes out. So yeah.
Oh, okay. That would explain it because I tried looking for the Hulu package and I couldn't find that either. So I just signed up for Disney Plus.
Yeah,
okay.
You have to wait till December 12th when it really officially comes out to buy the bundle. But you can pre-order just Disney Plus at the moment, I think. DisneyPlus.com is where you can come. Oh, it comes with Nat Geo as well. Yeah, I think Nathan said. But for our 1, 2, 3, 4th myth, this is my favorite one of all. Walt Disney's frozen head was buried under Pirates of the Caribbean. If that doesn't sound crazy to you, I don't know what will. So, Alex, why don't you go ahead and explain why this myth is true, why people keep saying it's false?
All right, so...
I'm kidding, everybody.
Okay. Oh, good. I gotta get all my yawns out. Okay. So, everyone knows the myth. Do I really have to explain it? People think that Walt Disney is frozen and buried underneath Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay. So it's not true. But here's the reason why people think it's true. So very famously, in the year 1967, the first man to have ever been cryogenically frozen was cryogenically frozen. And I gotta really think through my wording. And so this happened with a company. I wrote it down in the my notes to Matt.
A link here.
Yeah, the Alcor company, ALCOR. supposedly froze this man. I don't remember what his name is, but yeah. Oh, Matt's already got it up on screen. Yes. So the Alcor company froze this man.
Dr. James Bedford. Dr.
Yes.
James Bedford.
And so the fact that this happened only like the next year after Walt's death, people started to think like, you know, someone of his fame, of his fortune, would probably want themselves frozen.
This is a scary image. I'm sorry, Alex. This is terrifying.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway. And then another thing too is that some people believe that it's not necessary for the rest of your body to be frozen, just have your head frozen, because if you could save your mind, then you could always get another body later. I guess, I don't know. I'm not going to go into the origins of why people specifically chose that he has a frozen head, but what I will say is that the reason why this isn't true, first and foremost, this company froze this guy as their first experiment because they had only barely, in 1967, just finalized their process of cryogenic freezing. This company was helped along by a society of people who wanted to try cryonics. And that society began in, like, I don't know, 1962. But yeah, but the process of cryogenically freezing someone did not actually get perfected, or so-called perfected, until 1967, long after Walt's death. He would have been too far decomposed by then to even save his body. Okay, the other thing too is that Walt Disney was extremely religious. He was of a Christian faith, and Christians don't believe that kind of thing is natural. They believe that death is the only natural thing. It would be seen almost as a sin if they had cryogenically frozen themselves, because it would have defied nature. It would have defied God, so to speak. So it just would not have been in his religious beliefs to do so, let alone his personal beliefs. His personal beliefs are that, you know, you have one chance in life. You do everything right. You finish your life. You end it with grace and dignity. That's the kind of way that Walt believed. And I don't think that he would have considered it to be graceful or dignified to have himself, you know, punched through with a bunch of hoses, liquids going in and out of him, draining him like a sponge and refilling him with chemicals, you know, and then frozen, let alone being decapitated and then buried in his family-friendly theme park. It's just not right. So it just doesn't make any sense. And then on top of that, it's just I don't think I have to explain it any further. It's just a ridiculous notion. And like I said, the process of cryogenically freezing someone had not actually been finished till 1967. Let alone this Alcor company that does cryonics wasn't founded until 1972. So this guy was their experiment, and they didn't actually start freezing people till after they founded their company in 1972. So yeah, it's just not. It's a load of rubbish, as the British would say. So yeah, but I will add that I've been known to make the joke to some friends when I ride Pirates of the Caribbean, like, oh, you know why when you get on the ride it is so cold just in that area? Well, that's where Walt's freezers are.
Oh my
and
God.
Some people actually believe me, and I think it's because I'm called Alex the Historian, so they think like if I say it must be true. So I've stopped saying that joke because I think people are really starting to believe me. But yeah.
Well, they do have a contact page up, and they have a phone number listed. You guys know what that means, right?
Just so you guys know, in case you are like super rich and you're thinking about cryogenically freezing yourself, this is a so-called reputable company. The problem is that freezing yourself, no matter how well they do it, it can only last so long. Like, I believe they said that they can keep you frozen for 10 years, but then after 10 years, your DNA and all that starts to decompose, and then there's no way they could resuscitate you. So they believe that if you're going to freeze yourself, expect that you have about 10 years for them to develop a way to resuscitate you. And then after that, you're just going to be useless to them. And furthermore, this guy that was frozen in 1967, there's no way he's coming back to life. And here's why. Because when they froze him, they hadn't perfected, like in the way that they have today, the way to freeze someone. They estimate that right now his body has probably formed all kinds of ice crystals, which would have totally damaged everything in his body, including his DNA. Once your DNA is damaged, you're as good as done. So yeah, there's no way this guy frozen in 1967 is ever coming back, let alone the fact that even if they had done it properly, he still would have only been good for about 10 years. And then he's useless. So, because as cold can be, things still break down in the cold. So it's just not, it's just so silly. But I'm not going to go through that all. You can actually read their website and learn about what it's like to be cryogenically frozen and how disgusting and sad and gross it is. But yeah. Shall we move on?
I do have an accompanying myth to go along with this one. It's on that same sort of conspiracy level, you guys. The myth is Disney named Frozen. So when people search for Disney Frozen, they come up with search results for the movie and not for, Disney freezing his head. That sort of goes along with if Walt Disney did freeze his head, the conspiracy goes that they made the movie Frozen, named it Frozen, so when people Google search Disney Frozen, it won't come up with incriminating evidence, I guess. If, this is under the notion that Walt did freeze himself, it won't come up with information regarding that. It'll just come up with stuff from the movie. So that's another little interesting tidbit.
To be honest, even if Walt didn't freeze himself, Disney probably still did that.
Yeah.
Because the company has been known for heavily protecting its legacy, including the name of Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me if Disney is getting so upset with people just Googling Walt Disney's frozen head that they just, went and paid money to have all those, questions reverted to the Frozen movie. That would not surprise me. That in itself could be true. So,
Bob, is that true, Bob? Mr. Iger, is that true? He said no comment, guys. He's hiding something. Oh my gosh, I knew it. But yeah, that's another little interesting tidbit that I thought I'd throw in there. My camera died, and I don't have my webcam plugged in, so it'll be kind of awkward. You won't be able to see my face.
Are you always this unprepared?
I mean, I normally have this backup battery, but it's not charged, and it doesn't hold charge for very long. But anyways, we will continue on. Excuse me, that was unintentional. Let's see. What is this? Our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th myth. There are tunnels underneath Disneyland. Now, this is, I guess, a fairly believable one, to most outsiders who only know that there are tunnels under the Magic Kingdom. They'd assume, there must be tunnels under Disneyland as well. That's what I've heard from the internet. But yeah, there's really not much to go into to this one, really. It's just not true. I believe... there's just really not much to add on to that. Magic Kingdom has tunnels underneath. Disneyland does not have tunnels underneath. Alex, do you want to... if there's anything else to elaborate on?
There is.
Oh, I'm wrong. Oh.
Yes, Matt is in a way wrong. There are tunnels underneath Disneyland, but they're not a network of interconnected tunnels the way Walt Disney World has. So Disneyland despite how well it was planned in 1955, was not master planned to the extent that Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom Park was. And the reason is that when Walt was building Disneyland, he was under a very small budget in comparison to what he really needed. And he'd never opened a Disney park before. He didn't know what he would need in terms of how a major theme park, a worldwide famous theme park, would need to operate. By the time Magic Kingdom Park was under planning, all the Imagineers knew at that point. They had a formula that they wrote down. This is what a major Disney theme park, a worldwide famous theme park, will need to run. And so they went and master planned their park, every little detail. And one of the details was that they needed a network of tunnels, not just to get, cast members like a cowboy, underneath Tomorrowland to the other side of the park to get to Frontierland. It wasn't just that. It was a means of transporting garbage, creating electrical lines that could be easily hidden without having to dig them up every time you needed to perform maintenance on them. Plumbing, same reason, without having to dig them up, without having, to dig them up without having to, put them back underground again, all that kind of stuff. So these tunnels, they transport garbage, power, water, waste of other kinds, as well as cast members, vehicles. That's what the utilidor system is for at Walt Disney World. Disneyland does not have that. It just wasn't built that way. But Disneyland does have a few tunnels, very short ones that are not connected. They're on opposite ends of the park, and they only take cast members and utilities very short distances. But you can say the tunnel underneath Tomorrowland, it is probably served as the basis of the utilidor system, because the closest thing at Disneyland Resort that you can get to a utilidor are the tunnels underneath the Disneyland Hotel and the tunnels underneath Tomorrowland. When Tomorrowland was redone for the 1967 new Tomorrowland project, cast members, the company realized that they needed to get cast members from one side of the park to the other without being noticed. But they couldn't just dig a whole tunnel underneath the entire Disneyland. There was a lot of stuff to account for, and it just wouldn't have been feasible. But because Tomorrowland itself was entirely closed and bulldozed, pretty much, they were able to actually build a tunnel as long as they possibly could make it. This tunnel stretches from the south side of the Carousel Theater building, currently known as Star Wars Launch Bay. It stretches from the south side of Star Wars Launch Bay underneath that whole circular building. It meets up with the underground area of the Tomorrowland stage. Then it goes directly in a straight line west, traveling underneath the north side of Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters and ending on the back side of Pixie Hollow. This is so that way, because you see, the backside of the Grand Canyon Diorama building used to be the locker room for all the cast members in the resort or the park. So if there were cast members that worked in Fantasyland, Main Street, Frontierland, they could just exit the Grand Canyon building, and then right there was the door going down into the tunnel, and that tunnel would take you straight to the castle, and then from there you completely avoided Tomorrowland without being seen. That was the idea. They never knew that eventually the cast member locker room building would be put way further south, and then that tunnel would be deemed unnecessary. Currently, the tunnel, what it's used for is it houses local lockers. This is for like cast members' purses, backpacks, things like that. So small lockers, as well as it has a trash compactor for the restaurant, Tomorrowland Terrace. It has access to the Tomorrowland stage, so actors can get on and off the stage without being noticed. And it has access to some of the maintenance necessary for the Astro Blasters ride. Not all of it, because it is underground. But yeah, so that's what the tunnel is for. It is still there today. And And then as for other tunnels, they serve much less important services nowadays. There is a tunnel underneath the Hungry Bear restaurant that gets cast members from the riverfront underneath Hungry Bear out to the backside of the Winnie the Pooh attraction. It's not long. It's maybe like a, I don't know, 100-foot long tunnel. It's not that big. As well as there are very short, like 50 to 60-foot long tunnels that just take cast members underneath the berm, underneath the Disneyland Railroad in different areas of the resort. But yeah, the longest tunnel in Disneyland is the one under Tomorrowland, and it looks like the utilidors of Walt Disney World. And it wouldn't surprise me if that was a test of how to build the utilidors for Walt Disney World. Sorry, did I go on for too long about that?
No, I didn't know about any of that, so that's new information to me.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got really out of breath. Holy cow. I ate so many cashews while Alex was talking.
Those are really dangerous, you know. You know they're not really... What?
Did you guys know that cashews come from a fruit?
A very poisonous fruit, yes.
It's kind of an interesting story. I used to be obsessed with cashews just like a few months ago. I'd eat them all the time, and I ate them so much, it turned my poop orange, you guys.
What?
Just a warning
Matt,
out
why
there.
Are you telling people this?
A warning, because you brought it up that they're dangerous, and this is a relevant story. People need to know.
I can't even
be
believe
safe.
You would say that.
Don't eat a lot of cashews in one sitting, you guys. Moderate yourself. Maybe 2 or 3 nuts, maybe 4 if you're feeling adventurous per serving. Moderate yourself when you eat cashews. I'm not making a meme. I'm being serious, you guys. Be safe when you're eating cashews. I'm speaking from experience. Anyways.
Okay, next one.
Anyways.
Okay, so there is another, it's kind of a myth. So there's a myth that goes that Disney strategically lets feral cats loose in Disneyland in order to manage the rodent population. So this isn't 100% true. But it is okay, let me just explain it. So there are feral cats in Disneyland. We estimated at one point there were about 400 feral cats in Disneyland. But Disney does not place them there. Disney does not do that. What they are is they're cats that used to or still have owners. And they find their way into Disneyland either because they're homeless or because they just like to, travel. Not travel. They migrate kind of throughout the day. People know this. Someone placed a tracking device on their pet and watched where their cat went throughout the day, and they said it went 3 miles in a day. So yeah, so cats do that. And so Disneyland is full of feral cats, either homeless or not homeless, but either way they make their way into Disneyland. And the reason why is because Disneyland has a lot of forested areas. They used to have more before the changes to the rivers of America. There used to be a lot more trees, a lot more wilderness, so to speak. Now there's less, but it's still more than the local area of Anaheim. So because of this, there's a lot of rodents. There's rats, there's mice, and possums, and raccoons at Disneyland. So yeah, well, I guess raccoons are not rodents.
Mm-mm.
What am I saying? Oh my god. Okay, and technically possums are not rodents either. They're
mammals.
They're marsupials.
Oh, I was wrong.
Well, rodents are mammals too.
Oh, are they?
But technically possums are not rodents. They're marsupials, like kangaroos.
Do you guys know it's illegal to own a kangaroo with a permit in New Mexico? Fun fact.
So, okay. So anyway, so yes, so there are feral cats. Now, so people think that Disney places them there on purpose. Now, there could be 2 reasons why they think this. One, someone was telling them that there are feral cats in Disneyland and they eat the mice. So they probably assumed what the person meant was Disney places them there. That could be one. The other reason is they might have seen Disney lay down a cage with a cat in it and open the cage and let the cat free. There's an explanation for that because that does happen. So the cats that live in Disneyland, yes, they're feral. Yes, they're homeless. But Disney takes care of them. See, Disney has a division of the company that takes care of their animals, like the horses, the mules, not anymore the mules, but they used to have a petting zoo in the north area of Frontierland, and which had reindeer throughout the year. It had goats. It had
it feels
cows.
so weird talking about that because that was like just demolished a few years ago, but it feels like ages ago that was like the way we're explaining it to people. It's like it happened years ago. It's just kind of weird to me that we talk about because it was just so recent that that place was demolished, and that we're just now talking about like it was some sort of distant thing that happened that existed in the past. Anyways,
so they used to have reindeer, goats, cows, horses, mules, turkeys pardoned by the president, by the way, yeah, so they had all sorts of animals. And then of course the horses that pull the streetcars on Main Street, they were also kept and taken care of, all by a division of the company called Circle D Corral. That division of the company was animal carekeepers. And part of that was also they worked with a part of the company called horticulture. They take care of the plants in Disneyland, but horticulture doesn't just take care of plants in Disneyland. They also take care of pest problems. And they work with Circle D Corral to take care of pests that need to be removed in a humane manner. Like, for instance, if Disney found coyotes in Disneyland, which has happened, by the way, if Disney finds coyotes in Disneyland, they will call horticulture to capture the coyotes. From there, Circle D will nurture and take care of the coyotes until the city or the county can do something about taking the coyotes out and delivering them somewhere else. So those two groups work with each other. And so what happens is Disney doesn't want diseased cats walking around Disneyland. It's not healthy. It poses a health hazard. But Disney also knows that these cats, if taken to the county, will most likely not be able to find homes and get euthanized. Furthermore, Disney also knows that the cats do eat the rodents and other bugs and creatures in the park, which benefits the park. So their only choice was take care of the cats. So what Disney does is they have the horticulture department set cat traps around the park to capture the certain cats that they're monitoring that might have a disease. If the cat is diseased, they are captured by horticulture. From there, they are taken to the Circle D Corral department, who uses their veterinarians to care for the cats. They will keep them in a cat kennel while they are treated, given all kinds of veterinary care. And when they are safe to return to Disneyland, they have horticulture transport them back to Disneyland and released, sometimes even during park hours, because I've seen it. And furthermore, there are cat feeding stations around the park in certain areas. One that you can see from plain view is actually on Big Thunder Trail. If you're on Big Thunder Trail passing the southern Star Wars Land entrance, then on the right, up against a wooden wall where Big Thunder is a tiny little shed with a hole on each side of the shed. That's a cat feeding station. The cats can go in there, eat cat food, like actual cat food, drink water, leave. And they can do it at their own will. So does Disney release cats on purpose? No. But they do take care of them because they don't want the cats to be euthanized. So that shall resolve that whole thing for
Guys, look at how beautiful this cat is on screen right now. He showed up for his reservation at the Disneyland Hotel, and the bellboy turned him away, and he had to stay at Paradise Pier Hotel instead. So, can we get some kitties in chat, you guys, for this wonderful cat on screen here?
You know what the horticulture department also does? They take care of beehives in the park. I worked there one time, and I was working outside of the seating area for the Stage Door Cafe restaurant, and all of a sudden, a huge swarm of bees came in and landed in the tree, and they were buzzing everywhere, and they were gonna set up shop right there in that tree, and all the guests were freaked out. And so we went and called security first to create a perimeter to keep people away from the tree. And then we called horticulture, and they came out in their beekeepers' outfits, the whole uniform and everything with the bee bonnets. And they came out there and smoked the bees out. And so, yeah, that's what horticulture does also.
Very cool. Thank you, Mr. Alex, for that lovely explanation. Avery said, shouldn't it be the Pixar Pier Hotel? Well, technically, there's still Paradise Pier Gardens area in California Adventure, so there's still the Paradise Pier name lingering on in California Adventure, and I mean, it makes sense to retheme it. Anyways, that's off topic. We have let's see, we have two more myths that we have here. A baby born in Disneyland gets a lifetime pass. I don't think I've ever heard of that one before. This one was brought to my attention by Mr. Alex here.
So the first baby born in Disneyland was, I believe, it was either 1972, 1974, 1976. I don't remember which one, but it's one of those. And so some people, for some reason, believe that baby was given a lifetime pass to Disneyland. No, they weren't. But I think what happened was either the mother or the child, sometime later in her life, did say it would have been nice to get one. So maybe that's where the myth came from. But there is no substantial or substantiated proof that Disney gives these people lifetime passes. I mean, it doesn't quite make sense to do that either. Lifetime passes do represent a significant cost to the company. So Disney doesn't even hand them out anymore. They're usually only maintaining lifetime passes that were previously given out by either heads of the company or Walt Disney himself. So, yeah, and I didn't have time to look for an article to prove that to you, but it's not true.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Someone birth a baby in Disneyland and confirm or
Actually,
deny.
I had a shift lead who told me once that during Phantasmic, a lady gave birth.
What? While she was
Yeah,
performing or she was watching the show?
No, watching the show.
Oh, okay.
Watching the show. Performers, they don't do like seriously pregnant performers. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, this lady was watching the show and she started giving birth. And that was his little story. The story did not end well. I don't know if you want me to do that part, but yeah. So, but that's what he told me. I thought that was really cool.
Well, is there any? What do you mean the story didn't end well? Because I'm interested. I'm hooked.
She gave birth to a stillborn.
Oh, well, that's sad. Anyways, moving on to our final myth that we have. Real skeletons used in Pirates of the Caribbean. This was one submitted from someone in chat. I scrolled up and found it. I could not remember who. I think it was someone in chat who submitted this. So shout out to you. This is another one of those common myths that you see floating around the interwebs. And I believe this was partially true. I'm sure Alex can explain it better than I can. But from my understanding, Disney couldn't build fake skeletons that looked real enough, that looked convincing enough, so they went, I believe, to a university, I think, and got remains. UCLA and got remains from, I don't know, some dead person, I guess, some dead people, and used them as props in the ride. And from my understanding, they slowly phased those out as, the technology increased from when it came to replicating skeletons, even though it doesn't sound that hard to do, I'm sure. So from my understanding, there are no real skeletons left in Pirates of the Caribbean, but I have heard that the one above the headboard in the grotto scenes, I think, is real. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but all the other skeletons, from my understanding, are fake from nowadays.
So, yeah, what Matt described is the rumor that everyone hears. Now, I want you guys to listen really carefully. Okay, because I feel like I'm always repeating this. And I don't say that with anger. I say that with like excitement because I'm so happy to tell you this. But okay, so yes, the that everyone hears sounds absurd, right? I mean, Disney, with all their creative genius, couldn't make realistic skeletons, so they got skeletons from UCLA. Just the doctors just grabbed them out of the drawers and then handed them over to Disney to put in their theme park. Yeah, that does sound absurd, but according to what I've heard, that's not the story. So I had a family member. I don't really know what label to label him as. Okay, so he was married to my grandmother's cousin. Okay. And so he used to be an Imagineer. And I went to visit him one day, and he used to do like engineering and stuff. And I think he was talking to me about like Disneyland and New Orleans Square. And so the thing that he worked on was like the engineering of New Orleans Square, if I have it correctly. But he told me something really interesting because I was telling him about this book, right? So there's the book about Pirates of the Caribbean. And this is where the myth stems from, okay? Because the book about Pirates of the Caribbean mentions that the bones were taken from UCLA. Now, this family member elaborated for me on that because he said, "Oh, I know something about that." I said, "Oh, okay." And so I was listening, and I was just a little kid, but I remembered this for the rest of my life. Okay, so what he told me was that they were running short on time because the ride had already surpassed, Walt Disney's, life. Like Walt was hoping to have the ride open really early 1967, and they were already running late because after Walt died, they were still trying to create new sets for the ride and figure out what the caves and caverns will have in them, stuff like that. They ran short on time, ran short on money and resources. And one of the things that they were trying to do was to sculpt out skeletons for the ride. The props department felt that they didn't have enough time to sculpt all that stuff. So, according to what I was told, one of the Imagineers had some kind of association with somebody in UCLA. And on a side note, back then in the 1960s and 50s, and before that, medical places like universities, hospitals, all that stuff, they all had those skeleton models that hang on a hanger, and they sit in the corner of the classroom or the office or whatever, and doctors can refer to the bones using that. Well, in the olden days, it was easier just to use the bones of actual former patients and things like that and set them up for medical research purposes instead of like hiring some random company to try to sculpt them out bones, because no one could do that besides Disney. So yes. So apparently UCLA had tons of these. They hospitals all over the country were getting rid of their real skeleton collections that were kept in people's offices and stuff in favor of fake ones that didn't need to be maintained. Problem was, a lot of these skeletons were really old, dating back to sometimes from other hospitals as early as the 1900s, the early 1900s. And some of them didn't have labels, so no one knew whose family it belonged to, because they were just, the labels were lost over time or damaged, and it was just hard to read. And so there was a huge collection of them, and the hospital, instead of just throwing them out or whatever, kept them in like a room, and there was a lot of them. And so Disney was able to ask if they could borrow these skeleton models in order to temporarily place them in Pirates of the Caribbean, and UCLA allowed them to do that. This was only until Disney could finish, the props department could finish sculpting new skeletons. And once that happened, they swapped them all out. Except there was an incomplete set that was loaned to Disney. And it was one of the sets that didn't have
that was so
label.
loud. I'm so sorry.
It was, yeah. So, and it was one of the sets that either had a missing label or had seriously damaged label, and it was already missing most of the bones. So Disney had actually used it to create a skull and crossbones on the headboard. Well, when Disney was ready to hand that back over, UCLA was like, well, honestly, if anything, the completed sets are what we want back. These, the head and the two bones, we don't need it. So Disney supposedly kept that, and it's remained as a skull and crossbones over the headboard of the bed all this time. And so, yeah. Now, as for what happened to all those skeleton models, they might still be at UCLA today, because, again, doctors don't normally use real ones anymore. Now all the ones in classrooms are used as plastic ones. So that was the elaborated story I heard. And I've kept that with me all this time, and I still firmly believe it. So, because it does sound plausible to me. Mm-hmm. So that's my little background to that.
Wow, very cool. The sort of inside scoop on the true story, if it is indeed true. I believe it. Alex, you should be credited in history books in the future that use this clip. We're going to go viral because of this.
What's really sad is that family member of mine, he passed away a long time ago. Mm-hmm. If I still had any way of, if he was still around and I could ask him, I could talk to him, I wish I could interview him. Mm-hmm. So I could ask him more about it. So I could tell people, like, this is another source for that, besides just the guy who wrote that book. So that
Ouija
would
board
be
time. Do another Ouija board session when I come in December?
I don't know.
Now that would be truly epic. I believe those are all, but Mishy Cat, we'll do one more. She said, another common myth, Walt Disney is featured as one of the singing busts in the Haunted Mansion. That's, like I said, another common myth that is not true. I believe the men who were featured there, I know the voices are, I think it's the Mellow Men, correct? I'm not sure if it's their actual faces though on the bust, or if it's just random. It is okay. So
it's their actual faces.
That dispels that rumor. The Mellow Men. I think they're in they do the voices for the cards in Alice in Wonderland when they're doing the Painting the Roses Red scene as well.
Yes.
One of my favorite scenes in Disney animated film.
Yeah, the bust that everyone thinks is Walt Disney is actually Thurl Ravenscroft. So he has done many voices all over Disneyland Park, and he and the Mellow Men group were filmed, and you can actually go on YouTube and you can find an actual digital copy of the original footage of all four of those actors singing. for the Haunted Mansion. And what they did was they used that footage and projected it onto the bust. But yeah, the man that everyone thinks is Walt Disney, because he does have a similar mustache and a similar hairdo, is actually Thurl Ravenscroft.
Yeah, and which it's the one on. Oh, I'm not showing the picture here. Which one is the one that people think looks like Walt? It's not the one that's broken and fallen over down. I think that's okay.
It's the one that's broken and fallen over.
Okay, I guess it's not a very good picture to demonstrate that. But yeah, Chris said he had one more, so we'll do one more myth because the show is running a little longer than anticipated. But if Chris doesn't reply within the next 10 seconds, we're gonna have to say sorry, Christopher. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1.5. Half point.
He already answered.
Oh, there it is. There's a legend going around. It takes a while for my chat client to update. There's a legend going around about the animals on Nature's Wonderland that weren't used, were buried underneath the ride. I've never heard that one. Buried.
That's silly.
Why would you bury an animatronic?
Yeah.
I've never heard that one. That's interesting, Chris.
Yeah, that's
Alex,
one of those.
Do you have any?
That's one. Yeah, that's one of those rumors or myths that I feel like is just silly. Like, for the most part, I'd say like, I think there were like something like 116 animatronics for the original ride. I believe out of the 116, there were something like 80 or 90 that were like salvaged and kept for the different areas of the park, including Big Thunder Mountain. Yeah, but the ones that weren't used, no, Disney is more likely to have either thrown them away or stored them. As a matter of fact, there's a place in Ontario, California. It's a massive warehouse facility that Disney owns where they supposedly keep everything like ride vehicles and animatronics and set pieces that they have decided not to throw away in case they ever want to use it again. And yeah, so if anything, those animatronics were either thrown away or they were sent to that facility when the facility opened. I don't remember when the facility opened. It's actually relatively new. I say relatively because it's probably like 20 years old. But yeah, but most of the animatronics and things that Disney ever salvaged from the resort were kept on property at Disneyland Resort until that facility opened. And then they moved a bunch of them out of the resort to that facility. As far as I know, the Mark II monorail is still in that facility. The Mark II was made out of the Mark I, so it's the same thing. But yeah, supposedly the Mark II monorail is in that facility. So I don't know. I you know what I've always wanted? Actually, you know what's actually funny? Sorry. There's a YouTube video. I don't know how to find it, but it's out there. There's a YouTube video showing one of the buildings in the facility, and in it is all these old rides and animatronics from old Disneyland rides, and I've seen it. And it was, I don't know who made the video or why, but I can only assume that the caretaker of the facility was the one that was kind of showing around the guy filming. So that was kind of interesting. And I'm trying to remember like how I found it, but I don't think I will.
It's not this commercial that you're thinking of, is it? I'm sure
it's not a commercial.
It's not.
It's like a home video.
Oh, okay, because I was thinking it was that Main Street Electrical Parade commercial that has all those old.
No.
Okay.
No, that was actually filmed here in the city of Tustin. Pretty cool.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we'll try and find that video. I think I've seen a YouTube video sort of like that, but I think it was of like a third party who would just buy set pieces and like ride vehicles and just collect them.
That might have been it. Yeah.
What was
I think Yeah, it was a video taken by someone's like either like really old cell phone or like really old digital camcorder, but it was just showing him walking around this tightly packed warehouse.
Yeah, I think I know what would I search? Disneyland old
storage warehouse.
Storage. Disneyland storage. This is the video I'm thinking of. I'm not sure if it's the one that you're... Extinct Attractions. I don't think this is the one you're thinking of, but this is sort of in the same vein. Oh, that's loud. Oh, they have the Sanford & Son theme song playing.
Where can I see it? Oh, you might be watching it. Yeah.
There's a segment where he walks around.
Yeah. That looks like the one I was watching.
Is this the Disneyland Great? Yeah, that's the one Avery said as well. I've seen this video a while back. This might be the one. I think this in the description links to a website where you can buy some of these, but this is an old video, so they're probably all gone by now.
Yeah. So wait, does that mean that wasn't a Disney-owned warehouse? That was somebody's private collection?
No, this was somebody's private collection. I'm pretty sure. He explains in the video, I'm sure. Yeah, he explains in the video. I don't want to play it. I don't want to get copyright struck by this man if he's still alive. I'm sure he is. But
does it say his name?
Oh, mousesurplus.com. That's the company he works for.
Oh, I know that company. Okay, never mind. But yes, there is a place in Ontario, California that is it's a system of large warehouses that Disney keeps all their old stuff for Disneyland Resort and Walt Disney World.
Timothy says they went out of business. Oh, that's so sad. They probably, I wonder if they couldn't get anybody to buy the props. Or maybe they ran out of stuff to buy and they just closed the business. Anyways, if you guys have any other myths you would like us to debunk, maybe next time we'll expand out to Magic Kingdom. But yeah, if you guys have any other myths you'd like to send our way, popular ones, or they could be ones that you personally believe that you've heard from a family member that you haven't seen much of online, comment down below. We'd be happy to cover them, try and prove if they're fake or if they're real. And on that note, I think it's about time to wrap. Was daylight savings today, or is that tomorrow where you do the clock thing? Was it? It was.
I think it's next week.
Let me check on my phone. Let me see here. Daylight savings ends Sunday the 3rd. So does that mean you put your clock back tonight or earlier this morning? It had to. It's dark, so I'm assuming it was early this morning. But anyways, thank you all for coming out to today's episode of Matterhorn Mondays. We hope you all enjoyed the episode, and as always, links to all the who's a what's it's, the Patreons, the Twitters, all that junk. Alex's channel as well. That's not junk. Will be in the description down below. Go subscribe to Mr. Alex, the historian. Links to all the articles we'll refer to are in the description as well. And like I said at the top of the show, if you'd like to learn more about our meetup coming in December, on December 6th at the Grand Californian Hotel in Disneyland, visit alexthehistorian.com. Link will be in the description as well. And Alex, do you have any closing thoughts you'd like to say to the audience?
I don't think so.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and end this show, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out. And as always, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.